Bill, we're coming to you from the House chambers. As you know, Republicans have been in the spotlight all this week, what with the governor's inauguration and his State of the State address. But today, House Democrats had the opportunity to be in the spotlight as they unveiled their legislative priorities. House Democrats are introducing 26 bills this session, focusing on three areas: economic security, educational opportunity, and shared responsibility. Minority Leader Stacey Abrams says shared responsibility is key to making sure citizens are not only heard, but actually have a role in implementing this year's legislative agenda.
So the House Democratic Caucus will be sponsoring a budget review and update on February the 3rd. To allow citizens to come to the table, having heard the hearings, having seen the news, and really understand what the proposed budgets mean for their lives.
Some of the main items they're backing include the Anti-Discrimination Act dealing with student scholarship funds, the Taxpayer Empowerment Agenda, which calls for transparency on the part of government when outsourcing jobs, and bills to increase access to voting and increase the minimum wage in Georgia. Representative Abrams says Democrats also want transit to be a big part of any transportation funding bill.
We believe and have believed for a very long time that any conversation about transportation must include a conversation about transit, but not simply transit in Atlanta, but paratransit, thinking about the 120 plus districts across the state that need transit.
Abrams says Democrats are not reaching for the pie in the sky, but instead are offering common sense solutions to the issues facing Georgians every day. New state school superintendent Richard Woods has a full plate as he begins his tenure this month. Governor Deal laid out his education agenda yesterday in his State of the State address, calling for a constitutional amendment to take over failing schools. Superintendent Woods says he hasn't seen that proposal yet, but he agrees no child should have to attend a school that is failing.
One of the things that I'm focused on is to make sure that our local school systems, that we are not doing anything that prevents them from being successful. Or is there anything that, as we look at, is there policies and things that we are doing that sets them up for failure? I think we need to look internally first.
Woods says he looks forward to working with the governor, but he also wants to make sure the needs of individual schools are addressed.
You know, I think that with someone or a school system that has a lot of English language learners or, you know, a migrant population, you know, their needs are completely different and very complex versus, you know, other parts of the state. So we have to have the flexibility, but I think we have to make sure that we have the tools in place that allow our school systems to succeed.
Also today, the school board approved revisions to what's known as the Common Core Georgia Performance Standards in English, language arts, and math. The revisions came after a formal review period ordered by Governor Deal last year that included 60 days of public comment. Also at the Capitol today,
Happy birthday, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
Today, several legislators honored Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on what would have been his 86th birthday. Senator Vincent Fort says Dr. King's message is relevant to many of the issues legislators will tackle this session.
You know, the implications of his work are with us today. Some of those issues of diversity and inclusion and discrimination will be taken up this session. And as we take up those issues, it's my hope that we can keep Dr. King in mind and ask how his legacy impacts what we do each and every day we're here.
Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, there will be a ceremony here at the Capitol honoring Martin Luther King Jr. Governor Deal is expected to speak about his initiative to have a statue placed at the Capitol honoring King. Now, as you know, the legislature is not in session next week, so we'll see you back here, Bill, on Monday, January 26th.